So we'll start our discussion of mean by thinking about this question. We've got two students and their performance on 4 tests. So if I asked which student has the better test scores, then you might have some ideas already about how to determine which student has the higher scores. As adults, we immediately think about taking an average test score or a mean test score. Students may not think of that at first. So I'm going to walk through how I explain mean to students. So first, you can just start out with a list of 5 numbers. I like to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I like to describe the mean as the center of the data set. So when I ask them, what's the center of this set? They'll say 3. And then we will talk about redistributing the numbers to make them all the same. So I like to use that explanation to help students differentiate between mean and median. So the median of the data set is also 3. But when we're talking about mean, I want you to look at this bottom example. If I took 2 away from 5 and added it to the 1, then both of those numbers would then become 3. If I took 1 away from the 4 and added it to the 2, then those numbers would become 3 as well. So I'm kind of thinking about, okay, redistributing all of those numbers to make them all the same. When I explain mean to students, if we're working with something like average weight, so if we're talking about everyone has some seeds, and this is what their seeds weigh. What would happen if we took everybody's seeds, put them in a big pile, and then redistributed them or split them among the group again so that everyone had exactly the same weight of seeds? So that's what I mean when I say redistribute. So looking here, okay, again, which student has the better test scores? There is their average there. I'm giving that to you. And I want to point out before I kind of continue with this redistribution strategy, I do use this to help the students initially understand, but this is not at all what I encourage them to use. It is a very inefficient strategy, and I do not tell them to use this strategy at all. This is just for demonstrative purposes. So if I'm looking here, if I took all of those test scores and I made them exactly the same, that's what an average means. Okay, so that's what I've done here. So this can help the students to kind of start to think about deriving a formula. And that's what I'm going to talk about on the next slide. So, we talked about the redistribution, and then we said, well, what would be an easier way to do that? Well, the easier way would be to add all of those numbers together and then divide by the number of numbers in the set. So just like with the seed example, if that was the weight of everyone's seeds, or if that was the number of seeds everyone had, we could put them all together in a big pile in the middle. That would be 15. And then I could divide that by 5, and each person would have 3 seeds. So then that way everyone would have the exact same amount. So thinking about that in terms of redistributing helps students to really understand what's happening so that they're not just trying to memorize some formula and getting it mixed up with other statistical measures that we will end up talking about.